And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Oh, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
Lexie Hull took a head-to-head collision so brutal fans thought her night was done. Minutes later, she was back on the floor with a knot swelling on her forehead, diving for rebounds like nothing even happened. That single act of grit summed up this Indiana Fever squad in one picture. On Caitlin Clark's big Nike celebration night, without Caitlin, without half their guards, the Fever walked into Seattle and walked out with a season sweep over the Storm. So how did Lexie Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Odyssey Sims, and Kelsey Mitchell flip the entire Fever narrative in just one game? And what did Boston say afterward that has the whole locker room fired up and ready to shock the league? If you're riding with the Fever, drop "I've got the Fever" in the comments. Let's go.
Woo! First home game. Got a dub. Let's get it. Big dub. Let's go. Fever dub. Bow. Woo! Dubs. It's giving sweet.
Indiana's challenges started long before the opening tip. Caitlin Clark was still sidelined with the groin injury that had kept her out since mid-July. She wasn't alone. Sophie Cunningham, Ari McDonald, and Sydney Colson, all done for the season. Chloe Bibby, still battling knee issues. That meant the Fever entered Seattle without most of their guard rotation. The bench was stretched thin. The starters were staring down heavy minutes on a night that looked like it could bury Indiana's momentum for good.
AB's been the one that's been most affected by all of our injuries. You know, all of the point guards that know how to get her the ball and how they get it to her. And it's not just getting her the ball, it's where you get it to her. You know, getting it to her on time, on target, you know, thinking one pass ahead, you know, all that matters. And I thought today, her aggressiveness with the ball in her hands to the rim, getting into defenders, playing low to high instead of high to low. When she plays like that, you know, there's nobody that can stop her. And, you know, she set the tone for us, really on both ends. You know, she had the NECA assignment as well and set the tone for us on both ends. And, you know, she was terrific.
The timing couldn't have been worse. Indiana had dropped 4 of their last 5, sliding right back toward the playoff bubble. At 19-18, they were clinging to the 8th and final postseason spot, while Seattle sat just ahead in 6th. That meant this wasn't just another regular season game. It was a standings war. One win could flip the table. One loss could tighten the noose. Every possession carried playoff weight, and both the Fever and their fans knew it.
Aaliyah, this is a string of games, beginning of a string of games against the teams you're competing for a playoff spot against. Did this game feel more important in that regard? And I guess how big was it to get a win in this one?
Yeah, I mean, going into this game, we talked about that this was going to be a big game for us, considering the standings where Seattle was. But, you know, going into the West Coast trip, I mean, right now we're just going to be focused on LA. That's kind of been our motto this entire season, is just focus on the game ahead of you, be where your feet are. And so starting tomorrow, we're going to be looking at LA. But, I mean, this next string of games is definitely important for us, but we got to take it one game at a time.
And yet, the atmosphere inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse told a different story before the ball was tossed. Caitlin Clark's new Nike logo reveal had turned the arena into an off-court celebration, with banners strung across railings, promotional shirts flooding the stands, and fans lining up to snap selfies against branded backdrops. It was a night carefully built around Clark's superstardom, her influence as both a player and a cultural icon. But the irony cut sharp. Clark herself was only on the sidelines, watching from courtside while teammates fought to keep the team's playoff push alive.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
On the floor, the adjustment was massive. Without Clark shooting to stretch the defense, and without veteran guards to control the tempo, Indiana had no choice but to grind through the paint and crash the glass just to stay afloat. Seattle, with their seasoned core pushing for playoff security, looked built to expose the Fever's thin rotation. Most in the building figured Indiana might hang around for a fight, but few believed they had the firepower to finish it.
It's special. I mean, you know, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to make the impact that she makes, not just, I think, in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together. And, I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's, as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or, as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment, and to celebrate with her.
Still, the Fever carried themselves with a different energy. Instead of letting the injuries and Nike's Clark spotlight weigh them down, they treated the night like a toughness exam. Every defensive rotation snapped into place. Every box out drew extra contact. Loose balls weren't chances, they were battles. And from the opening minutes, it was clear Indiana wasn't just showing up to survive. They were showing up to steal the script.
And the crowd, fueled by Clark's off-court presence but desperate for someone else to rise, began to rally behind the effort on the floor.
It was in that fragile, high-pressure environment that the defining scene of the night happened. One collision that put all of Indiana's resilience into focus. Lexie Hull took a brutal head-to-head hit that left the arena gasping, her night seemingly finished before it truly began. But minutes later, she re-emerged with a knot swelling on her forehead, diving for rebounds and sacrificing her body on every possession. In that moment, Hull wasn't just playing, she was embodying the toughness the Fever needed to believe this night could be theirs.
And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Oh, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
It happened in the first quarter. Lexie Hull and Gabby Williams were both chasing a loose ball under the basket when their heads collided hard. The sound of the impact echoed through the arena, and both players went down. Williams stayed on the bench afterward, but Hull immediately headed to the locker room, holding her forehead. Cameras caught the swelling rising almost instantly, a knot so visible it made fans at Gainbridge Fieldhouse wince. The building fell silent. Already down 5 rotation players, the thought of losing Hull felt like the breaking point. But just when it looked like the night might unravel, Hull reappeared minutes later, not an all, diving for loose balls like nothing had happened. The crowd erupted, and her return sent a clear message. The Fever weren't folding.
Happened on that play?
Well, I didn't know exactly what happened when it happened. It was kind of just like a clash. But looking at the video, it just, Gabby and I ran into each other. Unlucky. I think we both have knots on our heads, so we both kept playing, so it's all right.
Were you pretty dazed when you...
Yeah, I think it's more of like what just happened, big collision. I just need some time. Felt my face, felt a growing knot, so that doesn't feel good.
Fans assumed her night was finished. You don't take a shot like that, with a lump swelling on your forehead in real time, and come back. But here's the thing, Lexie Hull has never been about flash. On a short-handed Indiana roster, her value comes from the stuff that doesn't show up on highlight reels. She's the one tasked with hounding the opponent's best guards, chasing down every 50-50 ball, and injecting the energy that keeps everyone else locked in. Losing her would have been more than losing minutes. It would have ripped away the Fever's defensive backbone. Everyone inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse felt it. The question hung heavy. Without Hull, how could Indiana possibly hold the line?
Storm basketball. Deliver starters, Kelsey Mitchell, Lexie Hull. Second for the floor.
Minutes passed, and it felt certain Lexie Hull was done for the night. Then, almost out of nowhere, she emerged from the tunnel and checked back in. The swelling on her forehead was impossible to miss, but her intensity never wavered. On her very first possession, she threw herself on the floor for a loose ball, as if nothing had happened. The arena erupted, fans on their feet, roaring for her return. What looked like the breaking point suddenly flipped into the spark that lit Indiana's night. Hull later admitted she felt dizzy right after the collision, but still logged heavy minutes. After the game, she even laughed it off, saying teammates kept telling her she looked beautiful, lump and all.
Getting back on the bench, was everybody just kind of staring at your forehead directly? And...
I knew yeah. Everyone's like, you look beautiful. I'm like, I know I look insane, but it honestly looks better now than it did when it first happened. So hopefully this goes down quick.
Did you glance up at the video board to like see it? Like, did you get a look at it?
No, I could see it looking out. Like I could see it just from my own eyes. So I didn't need to look anywhere. I knew it was going to be big.
No way. So it's in your peripheral vision?
Yes. It was literally like sticking out. I mean, it's still big right here, but it was bigger and I could see it. So they brought it down a little.
Your teammates, your coach, the GM, everybody's just kind of talking about your toughness, I guess. So there's not really a good way to ask that question, but if you could just talk to me about that toughness and where that comes from.
I mean, if I can play, if I feel like I can play, you know, whether or not I look good or not isn't the problem. So, I think for me, it's just the team is the most important thing, getting wins the most important thing, and if I can contribute in any way I can, that's what I'm going to do. So if it's playing a little injured, playing a little hurt, that is what it is.
Awesome.
That decision to keep battling didn't just lift the crowd. It ran straight through the roster. The bench noticed. The starters noticed. And Aaliyah Boston made it clear afterward. Lexie Hull was the definition of tough. It wasn't just a compliment. It was a declaration. Hull's grit put a name on the very identity the Fever carried that night.